Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Husni Mubarak bin Sahrul Nizam. My metric number is 278939. Okay, I'm from Group 9, and our group will tell about international regulation, the use of force. First case study is the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Okay, I will tell about the causes of the invasion of Iraq in 2003. My first point is Iraq did not comply with the resolution that has been made by the United Nations Security Council. And second point is the 11 September 2001 incident has built up insecurity within the United States. Okay, 11 September 2001 incident is about the PWTC building in the United States was hit by an aeroplane. The incident was intentional, and the US claimed it was an Iraq act. So, and the incident was also linked with the Islamic terrorists. Okay, the third point is the incompliance of Iraq on ceasefire, and the resolution has been a threat to the United States. Okay, next I will talk about the aspect of evaluation. First, Iraq failed to comply with the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1441. Okay, the resolution is about the first, Iraq has been and remains in material breach of prior Security Council resolution. Second, the resolution gives Iraq a final opportunity to comply with its disarm obligation and establish an enhanced expansion regime. Iraq is obligated to deliver within 30 days a currently accurate, full and complete declaration of all aspects of its program to develop weapon of mass destruction and delivery system. Next, false statement or omission in declaration required by the resolution and failure by Iraq to comply with and cooperate fully in the implementation of the resolution shall constitute a further material breach of Iraq obligation. The Council demand that Iraq cooperate immediately, unconditionally and actively with UN, MOVI and the IAEA. The Security Council recall that it has repeatedly warned Iraq that will face serious consequences as a result of its continued violation of obligation under Security Council resolution. Okay, next, Iraq was linked to the 11 September attack. So, and lastly, US invasion on due to self-defense. So, this case, they had a long meeting and discussion about Iraq action on the use of mass weapon.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Wendra Irfansyah Abirama and my metric number is 281400. Right now I want to talking about the resolution of the invasion of Iraq by the US troop or US government by 2003. So in the resolution say that in the 14 December 2003 Saddam Hussein finally captured by the US troop in the several months when the US troop trying to find where is the Saddam Hussein is, and finally captured in his final hiding in Iraq. Then why the US troop want to capture him? Because of the crimes that been made by the Saddam Hussein against the humanity. And then when they capture Saddam Hussein actually been hanging. In 13 December 2006, Saddam Hussein was finally been hanged to death because of the brutal dictatorship that when he governed Iraq. And 13 June 2009, the US combat troop withdrew from the Iraq cities in according to Status Force Agreement or SOFA. So in the conclusion of the situation, well, actually this conflict about the Iranian and the US governmental is actually not end of the story, because the US troops still have their military base in Iraq. On the statement of the Joe Biden said that the US forces will end their combat mission, just for the combat mission in Iraq by the end of this year 2021. but will continue to train and advise the Iraqi military. It also been said that in the White House between him and also the PM, Prime Minister of the Iraqi, which is Mustafa Al-Khadimi, said that it will still US troop in Iraq to advise him to make some contribution to protect the Iraq protect the Iraq territory from the ISIS, from the any other terrorists. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Murni Anissa Izzatul binti Muhammad Zailani. My metric number is 277639. The second case is about the oil platform, which is between Iran versus United States. The introduction of the cases. On 2nd November 1992, the Iran filed an application in the court's registry to begin the proceedings against the US for the destruction of Iranian oil platforms by several warships of the United States Navy on 19 October 1987 and 18 April 1988. Public sittings were held between 7 February and 7 March 2003, which the court heard the oral arguments and replies on the claim of Iran and on the counterclaims of the United States. On behalf of the Iran government, on 3 March 2003, Iran has claimed that the attacking and destroying on the oil platforms, the United States already breached its obligations to Iran under Article X, Paragraph 1 of the Treaty of Amity, and that the US bears responsibility for the attacks. And also, Iran said that the US is accordingly under an obligation to make a full reparation to Iran for the violation of its international legal obligations and the injury thus caused in a form and amount to be determined by the court at a subsequent stage of the proceedings. On behalf of the US government, the United States state that they did not breach its obligation to the Iran under the Article X, Paragraph 1 of the 1955 treaty between the US and Iran, and that the claims of the Iran are accordingly dismissed. The causes why US attack on Iran platform is the United States has not simply counted on the Sea Isley City incident as forming the armed attack to which it claimed to be responding. It is a statement to the Security Council and before the court. The United States claimed that the incident was the latest in a series of such missile attacks against the US flag and other non-belligerent submarines in Kuwaiti waters in order to pursue of peaceful commercial activity, and that these actions are only the latest in a series of illegitimate armed attacks by Iranian forces against the US, including laying mines in international waters for the purpose of sinking or damaging US flagships and firing on US flagship. It has argued before the court that the missile attack on Sea Isley City was an armed attack that justified self-defense. The accused pattern of Iranian use of force, it is claimed that added to the gravity of the specific attacks, reinforced the necessity of action in self-defense and helped to shape the appropriate response.
When the case has been brought to the court has demanded United States to prove that they were the victim of armed attack in regards of the ILCT vessel incident. This is to ensure that they were doing and exercising self-defense action in regards of the bombing of the oil platform according to the Article 51 of the United Nations Charter in the use of armed force. So these are demands that the court has requested upon Iran to justify that they were actually the victim, and their action of bombing the oil platform is actually a reciprocal of what Iran has done through the ILCT vessel. After evaluating all the evidence brought by both Iran and also USA, the court could not find any evidence to link Iran and also the attack of the ILCT vessel. Hence, there is no proof of burden that Iran was responsible in the attack of the ILCT. In this context, USA has failed to prove that they were the victim of armed attack, and the attack they made on the oil platform was a self-defense attack in regards of the incident that they said to be caused by Iranian government on the ILCT vessel.
The conclusion by the court for these cases is the court thus concludes from the foregoing that the actions carried out by United States forces against Iranian oil installations on 19 October 1987 and 18 April 1988 cannot be justified under Article XX paragraph 1D of the 1955 treaty as being measures necessary to protect the essential security interests of the US. Since those actions constitute resource to armed force not qualifying under international law and the question as acts of self-defense and thus did not fall within the category of measures contemplated upon its correct interpretation by that provision of the treaty.